well. So we have seen how we can create our base CDSUs and how we can structure our CDSUs and how we can navigate through the CDSUs. Those are defined by SAP and according to their naming standards. And similarly, we have an idea now how we can build our CDSUs based on those layers and naming of it. So there is no potential impact of using VDM view type like a composite and basic or something like that. So that is completely classified as an SAP internal way of delivering the CDSUs, levels of CDSUs. And if the customer is interested to adopt those ways of defining or structuring their own code base, CDS base, they can follow it. So there is no specific guidelines from SAP or somewhere to do it in that way. And also the SAP coding standards or any of the compiler will not stop you if you include VDM view type or if you not consider VDM view type at all. It's up to the customer base, customer way of doing or developing things. And now on top of it, what we should be aware that when we create some CDSU, how we think in a way that when we are creating a web program, we always or lead or architect level people, they guide us. If there are any chunks or any bit of common business logic, then we will be creating that as a utility functionality or a common place in which a static method kind of or instance method, whatever it is, in a class library, and that can be used across the functions of the business. Similar way we have to consider in CDS world of doing as well. So if we think that if this is going to be used in a different verticals of the business, then of course it's our responsibility to create the CDSU considering all these factors. So adding more fields won't impact any of the business, but adding less fields definitely impact the future enhancements of the customer programs. Okay, so keeping that in mind, that is, I delivered a statement that when we create a basic view, which is we call it as interface view, so adding maximum possible number of fields from the database table is a recommended idea, which avoids extension of that base layers, at least in future enhancements. Okay, that's the statement. And now, and after further to it, we have seen creation of the views joining using inner join, joining two CDS views. And also we have seen the association, using the association, how we can build the CDS views. So on top of this, we have seen the differences as well. How it is going to behave when we use join and when we don't use join and when we use associations. And associations, there are certain conditions where they are applicable. And in this particular association, whatever we have here at the moment, as we know the step, we can right click on this one and we can see the create SQL create statement here. So in this create statement, if you see here, we do not have any join condition where though we have association published in our element level. So underscore items is published, but we don't see that items anywhere involved in this create statement at the moment. So by this, we straight away can say that yes, there there is no static or design time view creation when we use associations. Okay, and um, okay, and when we this is we simply straight away we can say that it's on-demand join. The CDS engine on the runtime, whenever we execute it or whenever we navigate from this one, then it creates a runtime view and it goes and fetches the records for us whenever we influence these items and navigation property. So how we can see that we have already seen this. If you go to content and if you right click on anything and follow the association, at this point of time, the association will be called to that particular uh, projected table of the database, and it fetches the only respective records, which in fact, so the great performance improvement. So however we are doing here anyway, whatever the development we do here, there will be end clients for this one. So the end client, it can be a Fiori application, or it can be a data service, or it can be a business warehouse, or any other client will be using it. So whenever they influence these navigations, then only the association will be called. So okay, that's absolutely fine. And the one more additional feature on this association, and if we have any filters um, on our header, okay, so that means whatever the element we have selected on the base database table or view, whatever it is, the data source would refer to, whatever the filters we apply here, automatically these association will adopt those filters. So of course it is the items is a dependent on this particular one, we know that. So obviously if we apply some filter on this one, for example, if I say if my um, trip status, if I select D, so my header will display only trip requests that are with status trip status D. And of course, there will not be anything, any items displayed without the status D. So they all comply, they all follow based on this one. So there is no other thinking as well. So if this has been filtered, and there is no other way for the consumer, whoever using the CDS, to get the items of other statuses than D. Okay, if they follow this navigation. And we can enhance this CDSU with where conditions as well. If you see where, okay, like our OpenSQL filtrations, where if I say trip status equals to trip status is not equals to D, for example. Okay, I'm saying not equals to D. So let me activate this one. Okay, and this will give us the more clarity what we are talking about. So if you see, we have only these many uh, entries with the trip status 0. So it's a unknown status. But let's see if we have any of these items also created for this. Yes, there are items created for these trip IDs, and here we don't have feasibility to um, include anything else. And also you may get something like, and whether I'm able to use these items in my where condition. So let us try that. The answer is no. Items dot trip trip not trip, travel mode equals to T. So whereas the associations are not allowed to use in where condition. Okay, in the current release up to now, these associations are not allowed to use in where condition. But there are other ways where we can include these where conditions. So at the moment, using CDSUs, we won't be able to include the associations in where conditions. That's the statement we should remember. And okay, let me comment out this. So okay, that's fine. We are developing this CDSU, and it's not only a simple one. We have a lot of features, a lot of benefits developing CDSUs. So the olden days on ERP, what we were doing, it's again coming to the code to data or data to code approaches. So we were just simply bringing or dumping all the data from database onto our ABAP program, and we were doing a lot of loops and filtering out things and writing some expressions, conditions, and etc. We are preparing. Our target was to prepare the end or final table if it is in report program, and the final table will have some um, uh, 30 or 40, whatever the number of columns it is. That's the final data we would prepare at the end of the program. And finally, we will be displaying it as using the standard ALV factory functionalities. But in this case, everything, all those preparations are overruled by CDS. So whatever the calculation you need, whatever the number of fields you need, you completely prepare using your CDSU by creating or adding more number of associations, and you add more fields into it. And finally, take this CDSU and write a simple select statement in your web program and get all the fields and display your ALV. That's it, done. And that is required when a customer intending to build their GUI way of transaction codes. But in fact, when when the customer moves to S/4HANA, that's not the way how we deliver the objects. So everything has to be a Fiori application, a Fiori tile. Okay, so that's how we should drive our way of CDS development. So now let me go to this system and let me write a simple select query on this particular CDS, how it would look like. Okay, yeah, so you will get that pop-up. You just ignore it, don't worry about it. Okay, so the license will expire on 14th or something. So even I have got a few messages about that. You completely ignore that. So that's going to be auto renewed when we reach to that point. So for now, you just ignore that message. So let me go ahead. I haven't created any program yet. So let me create a quick program. So let me make it an executable and say that's okay. So now here, how we use this one, I want to go with that one. Select from here, we straight away use our CDSU name And if you think about your CDS view here, which is not an entity, so in this case, there was a practice like people were using this view name. So that was completely a wrong approach. If you notice that one, so we should complete 100% classify it as a bad practice. And always we should be referring to this CDSU in our web programs. So whether it is a defined view or a defined view entity, whatever the kind of CDSU it is, so always it should refer to the view name here. So in this one, and fields star into table LT trip details. Okay, so now here I think CL demo output something is available. I don't think someone remember this class the SAP uses for demo outputs. Okay, that's fine. So at this point of time, this is a pretty simple select. So that's it. So our uh, a web program will not have anything else here. But you may be thinking about some of the selection parameters here. So whatever the selection parameters we write, they all go in our where condition here. So where condition, if you write a range table, you straight away put that as range table, how we use in our ABAP class, ABAP OpenSQL statement. That's it. But here, I don't need to go in deep about those topics. But here, what we need to know is we have an association here. So can we do something about this association in our program? So that's what bit interesting, and that is what we need to know how we can use this association in our web program. Okay, so writing these, everything we all pretty much know about it. So if I put a breakpoint here and see, it straight away goes and picks all the data into this one and brings me this according to the conditions, whatever we have put in our CDSU. Yes, these are three entries as we have included our condition where clause as not equal to D. Okay, so everybody created entries equal to D. So that's fine. So let me reactivate it and let me come out of it. That's fine. So now in here in where class, or if I want to add some of the fields of the association, whatever here. So those association fields are not included in this particular CDSU, but I want to include some of the fields from association in my select here. So yes, we can do that. So it's a simple approach that. So we just use a backward slash here and then association name, then hyphen. With hyphen we use it. Uh, come on. So if we use this fields, it follows a strict So if you see here, these are all the fields coming from our association here, the travel mode, everything. So for example, I'm adding my travel mode here. So I think it should work like this. No, but for now, let me comment this fields here, and that the piece into is in last place. Up. So I myself confused with the open SQL. I think they should. Yeah, that's fine. Cardinality, whatever the message we get in our CDSU, we get the same message if you see here. So right now, I'm just adding the travel mode from my association. And if I go here into my CDSU here, the item CDSU, I'll just check what are all the travel modes are applied on this one for my filtration here. So if I want to allow only T, travel mode T, which is train. So if I want to apply this on my where condition, again, I can go here, or if I want to pick anything here, to country, let me pick to country FR. So in the where condition, where, so here to country equals to FR. So in this case, if you see, we are easily able to use all the associations available in our CDSU. So this is the just the thing that we need to add a backward slash in front of the association. So here, what is this? Uh, okay. So in the ABAP syntaxes, this is the most of the error message you will be getting. So if you write a select query on your internal table, or um, uh, using CDSUs and something like not like selecting on only one table or something like that. So in those cases, we will be getting this message. Whereas sometimes if we write this at the rate, which is a strict mode, if you write strict mode, it will enable the compiler to tell or tell the developer that write into class at the end of the select statement, not in between. So that is the syntactical change. There is no there is nothing like why it is, or we don't want to investigate in that direction. So it's the 7.4 web 7.4 syntaxes. So fine. So let's activate this one, and if you see in our result set right now, so I'm enabling the external debugging, and sorry, yeah. If we go ahead and see our result table came with 38 entries, and if you see travel mode added here. So for rest of the ones, if you see, it has been added with the header as a deep structure into it. So as we have added a star there, it just adds adds as a deep structure, not like the flat fields list in the internal table for us. So if we want to select a list of fields, we must provide the uh, individual fields list here in the select statement itself. So if you see, the filtration has been happened, travel mode, it's T, okay, for each of the entry here. So this is purely saying header, and there is no travel mode in this one. Okay, so let me come out of this. Where is it here? Fine. So the association, what we are just seeing the experience here. So though we have the number of or list of associations available in a CDS view, and if we want to use this CDSU in an ABAP program, still we have an option to include a backward slash in front of the association name published in its element, and we can still apply where conditions in our ABAP program. But whereas the where condition is not allowed in CDSU itself, but it is allowed in our program. Okay, so we have proven that. Okay, that's fine. So now we see some expressions, whatever we can apply on our CDSU here. So the expressions, okay. So right now we have only the list of fields what are part of our another data source CDSU here. So this is our data source CDS, which is basic. And here we do not have anything, any other field than the field that exists in the base data source CDSU. But we can write some expressions on top of it. So the expressions, when I say expressions here, so for example, I have a requirement to um, set this status. So let me write here something like case statement. Okay, case on this one. Okay, when my trip status is D, I want to show it as draft. I want to detail it, but when it is 0, then 0 also, then draft or unknown status. Okay, else, so in all the cases, let's state this one as finished. So in this case, we are this is the runtime calculation what we are doing here. So this is completely based on the data that we have in our entity. So this will be calculated for each and every entry that we are fetching, and it will give us the proper proper determination that we define in this expression. So case is an expression where we can use in our CDS views. So as part of syntax here, case statement, so we just need to name, okay, so now I'm saying I'm comparing the field value here. So if it is D, then draft. What is the field name which should be published to the consumer? That means we should be giving some alias name to this. What is this? You are determining fine, but what is the field name is going to be for this one. So now for that we just end the case. So this is to end the case, and we start again as end as. So now we'll give the field name for this one. So end as status text. So then put a comma here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and activate it. So now for each and every status ID that we have here on the trip status, it goes ahead and calculates for each of the property, and it brings back the or calculates the description and shows us what is this one. So if you see here, the status text is draft here. So we know that, so we can place this expression anywhere we want on our CDS element or entity. Okay, let's activate it. Fine. So here now just refresh it. So the field name will still come at the end. We need to refresh or rerun the app, rerun the CDSU here. If you see, the status text has populated immediately next to the trip status here. Okay, unknown statuses and rest all are draft statuses. And once we run on this, run any of the CDSU, we have some additional features available right top on this result set here itself. So here, if you see the first one, SQL console, we will come to that in a while. But the next one, the easy one, n number of entries. So how many number of entries on this particular one? So here on the top, you see the Eclipse always restricts the maximum number of entries to display is 100, whereas the same feature where we have on our SE16 or SE16N, whereas they defaults to 200 or 500 entries. But here its maximum entries restricted to 100. We can increase this, but similar kind of features here, number of entries. So how many number of entries matching to this selection criteria? It's number 48. Okay, and select columns. So what are the columns we need to display on our output here? So if we don't want any some of the columns for our display, we can uncheck these ones. So these settings same like our SE16 settings. So if you see here, all of them have been hidden now. Okay, so I want status text. I can give my status text here. And if I want to add any filter on this one particular trip status or something, I can go ahead and choose my field name, and I can apply filter on this one, and I can see how many entries exist, or how, what is the data populated for those entries, specific entries. And the last one here, save. So we can export as a Excel, XML, whatever, delimited text file. So there is no Excel, sorry, delimited text file or HTML file, whatever. We can just go ahead and save these, export these file values here. And another interesting feature here, ABAP value statement text file. So this is, I really like this one. If you are needing some test data based on this structure, whereas you want to input or prepare some internal table in your ABAP program for testing purposes. So then obviously we might be ending up populating the data uh, internally in the program. But if we have some data in table, or if you enter one entry in the table and execute it, and coming here, you can copy the entire all rows as ABAP value statement. If you click on this one, it just copies all the values into a value statement. So we are quite often using value statement. We know how the value statement syntax will look like. So if you see here, this is by default, it generates a value statement for us. So whenever we copy, we press copy here, it stores it in the uh, clipboard, and wherever we want, we can use this one. And same thing does on this save as well. So if you click on this one, it just beforehand it asks for a file. That's the difference. Otherwise, there's nothing else. Okay, if you copy from here, it stores into clipboard, and if you try to save it, it asks for file. That's the difference. So if you want this template, rather you hate to type all the list of fields, you can take the first row from here, and you can go into your ABAP program, and you can simply paste this one in your value statement. ls data equal to value of, now the list of fields here. Okay, so based on this, so this will be, in your case, it will be dynamic fields. Okay, so the dynamic fields, you will be giving your variables here, ls str1 so on so field, trip identifier something. Okay, if you want to do it. So we have this option available in Eclipse. So you might need sometime in real time when we do it, but this is the way how you can get your value statement demo data or test fields there. So, and there is another option here, SQL console. So if you go to SQL console, it will show you how this select query is being executed. So you can customize your select statement from here. So if you want to apply any where condition, or if you want to simply join with any other table, then you can straight away join it, and you can see the data, and we have uh, freedom of writing SQL query and executing it in the CDS itself. Okay, so it's not only specific to this one. So it's just the editor. You can use anything that exists in the system. So it will accordingly, it will show us the results. Okay, as part of we run this CDS data preview, and are we limited to write only a SQL statement according to this one? That's no. Answer is no. We can write anything we want. It's a common SQL editor. So okay, we have learned something about this data preview console as well. So now, yes, we have seen this case statement, and we have another way of writing case statement again here. So this case statement is case statement using the field or DB column here. DB column. But we can use this case statement in another way as well. So let me use it in another way. So here, okay, the case statement, we know that it is to compare the conditions. Yes. So we remove this part right now, and we just use only when here. So in the when condition, it is our open place now. So whenever we use the field name in a case statement, then we are restricted to put only the values here. But whenever we don't use the field name in case, then we have a freedom of writing our own conditions here. So for example, when the header trip status equals to header trip status equals to D, and okay, so we can keep on extend these when expression here. So whatever the number of expressions we want, we can keep extending until we satisfy or the requirement satisfies it. And also we can put this then whenever that condition satisfies what we are trying to do here. So what I say, and let me put it like this. So not from date, from country, if the from country is not equals to to country, then classify this as international travel. Then I'm saying this as international travel. So if I don't have anything else here, then this is the default place where it falls in. And now I'm saying domestic travel. So travel type, let me name it travel type. Okay, so that's fine, looks good. So let me activate this one. Perfect. So let me execute or go to data preview. I'm just simply pressing F8 for all the times. And if you see here, these are all classified as international travels. I think we do not have any domestic travel. So that's the reason we have got all international travel. So these features, whatever we are talking about here, all these features available in OpenSQL ABAP programs as well. So if you want to write any case statement, you are free to write in ABAP level as well. Whereas you will not be able to uh, build the hierarchical or multi-level views in our ABAP program. So that's where we will be ending up. But apart from that, the select expression, whatever we have written here, this expression is available in our OpenSQL as well. But unfortunately, not the CDS functions. Expressions are available, but not the CDS functions. We will be looking at some of the functions in our examples. Okay, and so this is one type of expression that we have seen. And for my consumer point of view, I need one empty field. Okay, so field that doesn't exist in DB. Okay, so based on the type of it, we will be classifying the field. For example, let me name it something uh, in it, not in it. Mm, Let me name it Tara as organization name. Yes, still it is possible. So if we want something like this, or if we want to expose this as an empty field for some additional purposes at your UI or consumer level, if they want to see some additional field for their internal usage, because even in your ABAP program, if you select start from this CDSU, all the number of fields will be included from this CDSU. But for your internal consolidation or calculations, once we fetch data from this one, you don't intend to create additional field in your ABAP program, but you want that field to be part of the structure. So in those cases, you will be adding a dummy or field, empty field in your CDS itself, whereas it directly refers or gives back to the consumer. So in this case, I'll say tech field, tech field. So it's going to be my technical field here. And at the same time, if we want to use any numeric values here, so it's a straight away we can use the numeric field 0 as trip level. Okay, so if we have any numeric values, so we just straight away give this 0, and so that it will be converted into exported into the consumer. And another type is something like okay, so coming to this case again, we have some nested case statements also available here. Okay, so in this case, we are saying if the condition met like this, okay, then we are simply saying this is international travel. But in terms of ending up this one here, like international travel, we can write another case statement as well here. Okay, if the the countries are not matching, then go and check another parameter like what is it, state from case when state from uh, equals to state from equals to uh, state from 0 1, let's say for our example, state from equals to 0 1, then say code 1 else bad. Okay, so now we need to end this. So the case has been ended, and this one here, okay, so case when, then else, it's a default value, and that's okay, and yes, and even here we can add another case expression writing this one. It can keep going according to our requirements. So I'll not be extending this for next deep level. So at the second level, this case finished here, and let me say this as international travel. If it matches to this one, book one, or let's say international travel here, and end as no. Where is this bracket? This bracket is first one, and this one is extra. Yeah. So if you see the determination happening at the deep level doesn't need an alias name here. Okay. So whatever the case statement we are using at the root level does need the alias name, because this is the front face to the element of this particular CDSU. Okay, so now we have learned these literals. If it is a numeric literal, how we write, and if it is a character literal, how we write. That's good. And also where yes, so we call this one this case simple case statement, and this one is complex. So we have both case statements here, complex and uh, nested case. So if it doesn't have a DB field, then we call it as complex case statement, and this can, we know that we can add more conditions to it. And whereas case statement inside case statement, we have nested case as well covered in this example. Okay, so now perfect. So you may ask whether I have if condition here. So there is no if condition in CDSUs. This is the expression which we will be using across our CDSUs, whereas we have the condition which is a same like if condition here. So the wherever we need a if condition to be considered, then we will be using complex case statement. So where it satisfies our requirements here, and wherever we need to use a DB field, we'll be going ahead with the simple case statement based on the fixed values or value comparison here. Okay, and the other one is the uh, casting. So type casting here. So the type casting is required to specify sometimes. So whereas in terms of uh, price or quantity, if we are using some calculations, so where that exactly casting type casting required to be used. And before that, if we know about some of the arithmetic expressions, what we can use in our CDSU, so that gives some idea where exactly we need the type conversion. So let me look at it, what we can use for arithmetic calculations. State 2 international. Okay, that's fine. So now country from and country to from date. Okay, according to this one, what we can use, state from and state to. Okay, So let me use this case statement. From and to country is this one, then okay. Let me use this complex case statement for our example. Okay, so from country equals to GB equals to GB. Then let's do some double. Uh, we don't have any parameters, right? Okay, that's fine. We will take some fixed value here, fixed value, and if it is GB, then multiply it with 2. As a result, when from country equals to, okay, in this case, what I can do, I can put this one here. Okay, so that I do not need to include in each of my when classes. So when it is GB, then 12 into 2. When it is what else the country we have? The from country is US we have, and FR, is there FR? No FR. Okay, US we have. So we have US. If it is US, then multiply this by 4 times. Okay, and default, sorry, else, in else case, what we say is not specified. Okay, so we will be ending as as distance factor. So if you see here, let me use my pretty printer. So when I have some error here, incompatible, then else, yes. So we have some incompatibility between these types. So now in this case, we are multiplying, yes, that's fine. And in this case, there is some arithmetic operation here, arithmetic expression. But whenever it is not matching, then we are just ending up with a string here, right? So we need to bring all of them into same data type, so that we can display all the information, the required information. Wherever there is data, it will display, and wherever there is no GB or US, then it will display as we defined here. So in this case, what do we do is, in this result set, whatever the result after the in this case should be same in the type, and whatever the default case, this also should be in the same type, same ABAP type, ABAP type, or CDS type, whatever is recommended. So now here we will need to apply a cast. Cast is the cast is the keyword which we use for typecasting in CDS. Let me use cast here. Cast this one. Okay. After multiplication, let me open another parenthesis here. So let me close this one. And here we need to specify a type for this one. So okay, the calculation is done. Now what do we need to what type we need to define for this one? ABAP dot. So what these are all the ABAP types. Okay, types data types available in ABAP. Okay, so this is the way how we get our types into CDSU. If we write ABAP dot, then the CDS loads and then press control space, and it loads all the data types that are available in our ABAP. So whatever if you see, these are all the data types permitted and allowed to use in our CDS. So I have a string here. So let me use string, or we can use char type as well. These are not the, please be mindful that these are not the database types. These are ABAP types. So database level data types will be different, where they will be where char string or something like char float, something like that. But these are purely ABAP data types here. So let me define a length for this one. Yes, length has been defined. And let me close this parenthesis. So ABAP dot string of 60. String is unknown or is not supported. Okay, that's fine. Let me take care. So character still, that is fine. So now let me take the same thing for my this calculation as well. So I'll just do it 4. So now I have converted both of them into my char 60, and the compiler automatically detected that the rest of the default part is already in character, and my error has gone away. Okay, so these type conversions you will be requiring when you are applying or dealing with multiple types as a return types. Yes, that is possible. So in this case, yes, the requirement says if these are the country keys, then if it is GB, then multiply with something, and if this is the country, then do some additional calculation, and nothing is specified for all rest of the countries. I need the description. Okay, it's a meaningful sensible requirement as well. So in these cases we must need to know, okay, so there are mixture of data types involved, whether I will be able to achieve this using CDS. The answer is yes. So this is how we achieve this. And also, if you want to convert the entire thing into entire case statement, when I say entire thing into entire case statement into a specific type, yes, that also can be done. And you can use a cast statement here, okay, before starting of this case statement. And whenever it is the case has been ended, then we can specify a abap dot char 100. Okay, so okay, so internally within the case statement, you are declaring or you are taking a char type 60 length, but outside of the CDSU, how it is going as, it's going as abap.char 100. Okay, so if, by looking at it, the statement may be looking simple, but there is a lot of information inside this single statement itself. Okay, so typecasting. So now you know how you can send this particular literals as well. So now we are sending the specific literal without any type. So by default, it's going to be single character here. So one character length field will be exported into the consumer as a text field with a field name text field. If we want to specify any specific length of this one, then we will be applying cast statement here. So if we apply cast of blank value, that's fine, as ABAP dot whatever the type I want here. For example, I want to make it as a decimal value, decimal type, and I specify the length of it and number of decimals. Okay, and then I will just end this bracket. Decimal is not supported, but I can say 0 here. So the character type, of course, the character type cannot be converted as decimal. It's a numeric literal. So I had to convert this or place 0 as decimal. So now in my output, it will display as 0.00. If we have any values here, those are not having any decimals, and if we want to place additional 2 decimal places or 3, whatever, that is completely depending on our requirement. But the feasibility how we achieve that means is this way. Okay, and for our blank value example, we may end up with some error. I would like to show you that one as well. So if we want to publish this as abap.care, for example, 4. So if you want to send this for some reason with the care 4, then as internal feed. So in this case, I think in the previous versions, you definitely needed to maintain 4 spaces here, but that has been removed in this version, so you don't need to worry about it. So if you want to specify any length of this particular one, then of course you need to do a casting about it, and after casting only the type will be carried out to the consumer wherever you are using it. Make sense? So all these type conversions. So in this one we are seeing the arithmetic expressions here. So star is considered as multiplication, and the same how we follow the operators, the arithmetic operators in our ABAP language. A forward slash for division, uh, minus for subtraction, plus for addition. The same arithmetic operators are allowed to use in CDS as well. Okay, so here sometimes in your uh, uh, requirements, you might be seeing some something like ABAP data elements itself. So we are free to use our data elements as well. So for example, here let me use something like cast. Again, I'm using a blank space here as So underscore D as plant type. So if you see here, this data element is available in my ABAP layer. So we are free to use our data elements if we know specific data elements here. So this will be converted, this data, whatever we are intending to convert into, so they will be automatically converted into this data element length and characteristics, whatever it is. So this applies for all the data types: decimal, float, dates, dats, um, character, everything. They all applied on this particular one. Okay, data element as target type, and here it's ABAP data type as target type. So this one, numeric literals. So by default, it will be considered as type I, int 4 basically, whatever the lowest. Okay, so this is about the typecasting expressions, case expression, and arithmetic expressions here. Uh, and there are few limitations on this typecasting. The FLTP, which is floating point, is not allowed as a target type in CDS. That is the only limitation we see at the moment. And apart from that, there is no limitation here. Okay, so that's okay. And sometimes you might be seeing, let's take this field and let me convert this as cast. Come on. Okay, let me move the casting to the down. Cast this field as Boolean preserving type. So you might be seeing this as international travel flag. Cast this one, I think Boolean. Is there Boolean available? Yeah. So what it does, it just goes ahead and does the acquire the properties from this data element and including the conversions, whatever the conversions available on this one. So this will go ahead and picks up all those conversions. So this preserving type is an addition to that particular one. And this also does some checks on the HANA-DB strict modes as well. So preferably we will be using these casting without preserving type. So this is an optional parameter while casting. So if you see somewhere in your CDS use preserving type is being used, then we should be having some idea around it. Okay, casting, arithmetic expressions, and case, simple, complex, and nested expressions. That's okay. Next, moving to the functions. So there are some built-in functions available in CDS. So those functions will help us deriving or facilitating reducing the number of codes. So they are again classified arithmetic functions, and also the string functions, currency and unit functions, date functions. All these are all such kinds of functions. So these functions will have effectively some of the parameters, importing parameters, and they will take some information as input, and they will give us some output uh, as a uh, target feed or target value, and whereas we can publish them from our CDSU itself. Okay. So here, the built-in functions, if we see built-in functions, for example, date functions. So let me use some date functions here. And I'd like to go here to see what are the dates are entered here. Yeah, they are fine. From date and to date. Let me pick these from date and to dates, so that we will be calculating something here. Um, days underscore, if we unless we type the full function, it's not gonna give us a detailed function name. If you see that's, and we have all these functions available on these DATs. So if you see dates, DATs, days between days. So if we pick up this one, and if we want the full signature for this, press Shift Enter, then automatically the full signature will be inserted along with its arguments, whatever we need to pass into this. So now let me pass my from date into argument one, date one, and to date into my argument two, to date, and also let me name, let me put the alias name for this, trip duration days, in days, trip duration in days. So that it is quite quite simple that using this function we are able to calculate how many days the trip is going to be. So let me activate this one. So perfect, it's activated. Let me go ahead and see. If you see here, some of them I see our considering our deep nested case statement here. Some of them I see good one, international travel and etc. And the organization name, it's a string literal, it's a blank, and having these uh, empty ones as different type conversions. And technical field, if you see, we are converting a um, zero into decimal place, whereas this one two decimal place, we see that one as well. And trip level is zero, not sure, yeah, it's a plain numeric literal, and it has zero value here. And distance factor, it's a considering the multiple things here. distance factor having the arithmetic and type conversion here, and same is being displayed here. And where is this one? If yeah, there is nothing else except GB and US. If I say change this one to IN, and now we should see wherever US is, and that place we should see not specified. So let me go ahead and refresh it. And in this case, if you see, both types of values are being displayed in this case. Okay, and this one to demonstrate the flag value here, preserving type whatever we have here. So this is international travel, and we go further to it. And trip duration, if you see, all of them maximum having 7, 4, and these are the calculations that are happening here. So if you want to see this trip duration for first one, for example, it says 7 days. From date is 24/12 and 31st. So whereas um, uh, how many days it is? Yeah, that's correct. 7 days is right. So those functions, the built-in functions, really helpful in terms of um, making us more comfortable developing the CDSUs, considering the target output of the business requirement. So if we could not have this facility to calculate these number of days or anything something like this, again it we might we might needed to make use of the ABAP programming the same way, but all those capabilities intelligently have been added into the CDS, um, uh, and we have more flexibility to develop these uh, programs. Okay, so similarly, we have some how we have says. Let me name it. So they are date functions, uh, SQL functions. Sorry, not SQL functions. Currency functions, date, currency, string functions, or currency or unit, I would say, or unit functions, etc. So we can make use of all these functions. And let me introduce one very good string function here. So we have a string function called concat. So this concat function is very much needed in our routine developing approaches, where we will be doing concat statements separated by space and things like that. So in this case, we have two types of functions, if you see. So concatenate argument 1 and argument 2 and put it in one result attribute, result argument. But whereas this concat with space, it will add space between those values. So let me try both of them. Concat. So as I said, press Control space, and then whenever it loads the function, then press Shift Enter. Then it comes along with its arguments, number of arguments, so that you don't need to remember, and you don't need to um, make it reference and look somewhere and come back here. Things like we can avoid that. So let me Control space. It's still loading. Yes. So here we go. I pressed Shift Enter, and now my argument 1. So for argument 1, what I do, I'll just still take my from country as my first argument, and I'll take my second argument as my to country. So as concat countries, okay, and also I'll use the concat with space functionality here, so we can already imagine how it would be. So let me Shift Enter, and from country, and to country space um, what is it? So this space here actually it can be an expression or constant or function, anything. So if I want to um, place it here, a hyphen, then uh, countries or travel countries, I would say. What is it saying? Let me, with space type care of parameter 3 not supported. Oh, sorry. Yeah, number. It should be a number. And how many places, I think, yeah, how many places we need here. So two spaces, let me activate this one. So for the calculation of these two places, it can be a function or an expression, so that the number can be returned. The function or expression, whatever we use, that should return a number here. Let me execute this one. The countries, let me go to the right here. Where is this? Yeah, countries. If you see here, so this is the concatenated countries. So there is no space here, and this is the uh, concatenated countries with two spaces in between. Okay, one space and two spaces. If you see, I'm just moving my cursor here, so there are two spaces introduced in between. Okay, and some reality how we will be using this one is, so for example, this may not be suitable in your specific business requirements, so you might need more uh, fields fields of concatenation. So in this case, you are saying it's only argument 1 and argument 2 and limited the number of spaces. But what if you want to concatenate more than two fields? Okay, the syntax itself for this concat function is saying you are limited to use only two parameters in this one. Okay, but our business requirements would end up concatenating more than two fields as well. So in that case, again, we will be using concat, a nested concat, until it satisfies our requirement in this case. So if I want to introduce a space in between, or with a separated by some specific character between these two, first I would use another concat here, and I will just put the separator here. If I say a hyphen and two, this one again a hyphen, and I'll just close this one here. Sorry, I'm opening it. So close this one here, so that what it will does is the parenthesis is the level of concatenation we do inside the deep the deep will take first place in terms of execution, and it comes to the top level. So this I think we already aware of it. So let me activate it. So in this case, I'm expecting all these three fields will be concatenated, separated by 2 here. Let's go and see it. So let me scroll right. Where is this country gone? Yeah. If you see here, this column, it's concatenated with 3 fields at the moment, 1 fixed value and 2 dynamic variables here. Okay. So here I'll give you the reference where how what are the available functions and things like that. So from SAP library itself, so that we can have a glance about what are all the functions at DATS available. Anyway, if we know the keyword DATS, we can see all the available function here itself. But if you really need to look at the SAP documentation, so I'll list down these URLs in the useful URLs notepad in the drive. Okay, so I think we have few more functions left, few more things left, but we will see them tomorrow. So this is what I thought of discussing for today. So this is more powerful. I would request you to get a hands-on. This is required anyway. So by this, we can completely avoid writing more number of lines in ABAP as well. Thank you. Yeah.